Cool. All right. Set the pipe again. Hey, everybody, and welcome back. I am Sully. There's CK. Bear is here, and we are honored to have the legend, Casey Patterson. Welcome to Set the Pipe, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Usually I was setting the pipe, so this is a perfect show for me. I was never hitting
Right.
it.
I
I was
know.
always
Right.
setting it, so this is perfect.
Love
So
it.
let me-
Love
let-
that you're
let-
here, man. Thanks for taking the time to meet with us. I know you're busy with your kids and coaching and everything you're doing. So thanks for taking the time to talk to us old men here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love
Exactly. So what we usually do is we give some accolades. So just kind of sit back, relax, and I tell our audience kind of who we're interviewing today. So Casey Patterson played for BYU as an outside hitter. He's married to a fellow BYU volleyball player, Alexis Brown. He has 4 kids. Final score 2-2. Then after BYU, he actually went to overseas and played and won in the 2009 Swedish League Championship, and then was named MVP when he went to Puerto Rico in 2010 for their indoor league. Then what Casey's really known for is his AVP beach career. He was a 2016 Olympian with his partner, Jake Gibb. Once Olympian, always an Olympian. He was named the USAV Team of the Year as well as AVP Team of the Year for 2013. And he was the AVP Best Offensive Player for 2013 as well. And he has a total of 15, not 5, 15 first place finishes during his professional career, including the 2021 AVP in Chicago and Atlanta, 2015 FIVB in St. Petersburg, and 2013 FIVB in Shanghai. And this is the guy who does the pop and lock out there on the AVP tour, and everybody loved that showmanship. So again, Casey Patterson, welcome to Set the Pipe.
Thanks for having me, boys. This is awesome. I'm a little nervous. I feel like there's a lot to live up to. You got Geeter on. You've had, Diana's on Nygaard. You guys have had legends.
Yeah.
And that's
you're
where
a
you
legend as well.
exactly. And that's where you sit in. One question I kind of ask everyone that I think is, you're a father right now, you're coaching, you're in the gym, passing balls. A, do people even know who you are and the fact of what you've done? A, and then B is, when you sit and listen to all that, the gratitude I'm sure is there, but do you really like go, oh shit, I did that. Like that was me.
And
It's
that's just the tip of
it's
the
an
iceberg, by the way.
it's an incredible career that you had out of Newbury Park. So how does it feel to hear that kind of stuff?
You know what's funny? I love that you asked that. First off, among legends with you three, I'm so stoked to be on the show just in general. It's funny. I just started volunteer coaching for my son's high school, Newbury Park, which is actually the gym I learned how to play volleyball, and actually told my mom I didn't want to try out because it's a girl sport and I was going to be a hooper and go to the NBA. I couldn't jump high, so that was probably a good indication of why I should have gone into volleyball and just, go use the hands. But my mom's like, go play, you'll love it. All your buddies are playing. And so I was at the gym where I learned how, coaching my son Cash, who's on the JV team. And I roll in yesterday, actually, I think it was just 2 days ago. We were playing Thousand Oaks High School, the rival, the Lancers, where John Mayer went. Who else? So many guys.
So many great players out of that
So
area,
many
which
good
we'll
players.
talk about. That's some question I want to
Crazy.
talk about a little bit later, but that's a great story.
Random, I walk in and Kevin Judd, who was the head coach at the time at Newbury Park, was sitting in the stands talking to our current coach, who has been there since 1999, the year after I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. So those guys they're chatting and they're talking away. And I'm like, what is happening? There's so much legacy in this gym. Like, the first coach I ever was around that had the wall ball club where he bounced 2 balls up over the rafters onto the wall. And if you got 10 in a row, you were in like the wall ball club. And I was just like immediately thrown back into history, where I'm like, this is such a rad thing. And that's when it hits. I'm like, wow, I've actually played a lot of volleyball since then. And I was probably the last guy on the team that anyone would have thought would have kept playing. So it was like this nostalgic thing. And it's funny because half my boys have no idea what I've done. They don't know. They just think I'm a tall dad because I'm Cash's dad, And so it definitely kind of sets in when you're around guys that know what you've done. You're like, that it was pretty cool, because could easily forget, going, getting kids ready for school, taking them to school, the carpool drop-offs. I'm coaching everybody in the moon on track, basketball, whatever, that it's just like, oh, I forgot how quickly that I was like, oh, I was a volleyball player and got to be kind of Peter Pan in Neverland for a long time. I forgot about that. It's crazy.
It really is. I mean, growing up and wanting to do what you did and what we all did is an incredible thing as a kid and as a young adult. And you really pushed it. I mean, going to the Olympics and all these other things. But as you grow older, and we all do, the ball stops bouncing. And it sometimes it's hard for me to sometimes imagine that I did all the stuff that I did. But to hear that and to have, folks like you, such a great person in general to be on here, it's just fun for me to listen to how much we've talked about volleyball in the last, 3 months on this show, and how many people have done so many incredible things with the sport. I mean, you got to just not that you just played in the Olympics and but you traveled, you lived in different countries, you got to do incredible things and you just said you were in and I know it because I grew up in the Valley. So, you were at Newbury Park, not a powerhouse like Palisades or Hermosa or
Maricosta.
Redondo, Maricosta.
Yeah, nothing like that. And you were able to find a way to learn the game thanks to your mom and friends playing and a great coach. I know your coach, and to see what he did to turn that into it and for you to be able to go back and give back and coaching your JV team and your son is pretty rad.
Yeah, it was full circle. Crazy.
Jeff Nygaard said the same thing, Casey. He's like, people were messaging us and saying, I didn't even know that about Jeff. And these are some of his players today. How do you not know this? But that's what Set the Pipe was out to do is, I've said it before on the podcast, you run into Randy Stoklos and Jeff started walking around a juniors tournament. And I asked my team, who's that? I have no idea. Right? And I said, the crazy part was, this was just within the last 2 years. I'm giving private lessons to girls. I'm like, okay, so Misty May, they're like, who? Right. Misty? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not okay. So we on Set the Pipe, our goal is to tell your story, but then stories within the story so we can encapsulate them forever on YouTube, right? That's kind of the goal. So that's what we're doing. But I do want to go real quick. I want to show you a picture. And the boys thought that was okay. This is a long time ago. So this is my daughter. This is when we first met you, right? It's about 13 years ago. So this is Savannah. And you were gracious enough to, stop by and say hi to her and all this kind of stuff. So I thought I'd bring on Savannah.
No way. Wow.
She's 25 years old.
Wow. How old was she
25.
in that picture was what, 2013, 14 at Long Beach? It looked like the World Series.
Yep, it was in Long Beach, FIVB. No. Yep, for sure. Welcome, Savannah.
Crazy. Hi, Savannah. How was the career since that photo? What have we done since then? I'm so curious. Perfect. I'll make it up.
This is good. We can edit, by the way.
Full ride scholarship, All-American, Scholastic All-American, right? Destroyed all of Dad's records, right?
Yeah, she actually was a Division I trackster and won her indoor conference in long jump. So she actually wound up as well. There's another daughter in freshman right now. She's running track as well, Division I. So so instead of the volleyball career, she did track, but she's the one that sent me the photo. And she's like, you got Casey? No way. You're having Casey Patterson on?
That's so rad.
We gave it a shot.
Yeah.
Fun side story. I was just this Saturday at a track meet for 8 hours because my daughters both run track and my third son. And my oldest daughter, who's 10, 11, she's in super varsity and doing really well in high jump, which I never would have guessed. It must be from my wife's family because I didn't jump. I set the long arms.
You're a low flyer, Casey.
They love track and field. And so I love that she just went off and took that. And the long jump's so rad too.
Yeah, and that's what I do today. I actually coach high school jumps. So I do high jump, long jump, triple jump. It's crazy, right?
So rad.
So anyway, Savannah, you can wave hi to Casey. I'm sorry you didn't. We tested this before you guys came on.
She can hear
I was hoping she'd have her green shirt. Dang it!
Right. The old Boise stealth shirt for sure. But
that's awesome.
Savannah, we're gonna have you drop off. Okay, kids. Sorry, didn't work. But
she just
wanted to say hi.
Amazing.
And, good times.
Bye, Savannah.
All right, kiddo. See ya.
Hey Casey, hopefully my mic is working this time. I'm sorry I couldn't catch you live on Set the Pipe with the guys, but I still wanted to take a chance to say 3 things to you. The first one is hello. If the little girl in that photo knew I was getting to speak with you again a little over a decade later, she would absolutely be losing her mind right now. So thanks for being on the podcast and for just telling your story. And then secondly, I just wanted to say congratulations on such an amazing career. From the moment that I met you back in Long Beach, I followed your career, and it's really great to see all the achievements you've had and the impact that you've had on the sport. And then speaking of impact, I wanted to say thank you. that moment a little over 10 years ago to this day has left a really big impact on my life. And I'm sure over the thousands, millions of people that you've met throughout your career, I'm sure a lot of people could say the same. But that one small moment for just a few seconds truly meant a lot to me back then, and it still means a lot to me now. So thank you. Again, sorry I couldn't meet you live. I guess in a way I did. But it sounds like I'll be following you in your career continuously, and it also sounds like you have some future track stars on your hands, so I can't wait to see what they do from one trackster to some future others. But it was great to meet you. Hello, thank you, and congratulations on an awesome career.
I love it.
So let pivot a little bit to, growing up in Newbury Park, and you start to play volleyball and you get excited about it.
Yeah.
We mentioned this a second ago, in the area of Thousand Oaks and Newbury Park and Westlake. And I mean, Ryan Millar, Kevin Hambley. I mean, I could go down at the older guys all the way down to all of those folks are from that area, from Royal High School and out in Simi and then in your area, and just so much great volleyball when you wouldn't have thought about great volleyball coming from Newbury Park or Ventura or, Simi Valley or in those areas.
Yeah.
How was it, once you started picking it up and getting into the game, where did you start to flourish with it? What did you when did you fall in love and okay, I want to go this route?
Yeah, I think I love that because it is kind of like a little secret pocket in between Santa Monica, South Bay area, and then Santa Barbara, right? We're kind of lost on the 101 in between. And it's crazy because basketball, baseball, football, those are all predominantly the sports, right? Those are the sports. And so to have so many guys that I know and be like, wait, you went to Royal was a juggernaut for so many years.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's incredible. And I think to answer your question, it actually happened really quickly, probably in tryouts. I was kind of like the little chubby kid that wasn't very tall. I was 5'10". I didn't grow very tall at that point. As a really late bloomer, slow, but I had naturally really good hands. So setting basically saved my future career in volleyball because I had that one thing that I knew I was really good at, and not a lot of the other guys on the team were good at that. So I had an immediate position on the team somewhere because I could set. And that was probably one of the most magical things when the coach was like, wow, you got good hands, and it was dude, that's all I needed. It flipped the switch. I'm like, this is it. And I hadn't even really played yet, but it was he had told me that, and I was like, wow, the power of a coach just giving me a quick, maybe out of thin air, probably didn't even remember. It's dude, you got good hands. This is good. We could use you. I was like, oh my gosh, wait, I'm needed here. Versus basketball, I was like, dude, I love it, but man, there's a lot of running and I'm getting beat up down low. I'm not the biggest dude, So it actually really was a big part of my kind of stepping stone. It was a springboard for me in a sense where it was wow, that was okay. There's a place for me here in this sport.
So when you played at BYU, did you play setter or did you play outside hitter?
I was recruited as a setter. The only offer I got was from Pacific when they had a team.
Okay.
And it was to come set kind of right away, because by the time I was a senior, I was 6'4", and I could just kind of set a pretty fluid offense. Still wasn't very physical yet. But they're like, hey, we need a setter. We need to start right away. And I was like, dude, I got to go on this mission thing that, half my parents are kind of pressuring me, half I'm kind of don't want to make them look bad to the church, kind of a thing. When you're a kid, dude, all I want to play is volleyball. Let's be honest. I didn't want to go at all. And then I got called to go to Arkansas. I opened the papers. I'm like, what? Dude, my dad went to Chile. All my buddies were going to Japan and Brazil. I'm like, I want to go learn the language. And I got Arkansas. I was like, I'm not going. I'm going to go play volleyball, but I was like, all right, I'm going to go. And I actually used it as 2 years of just training. Went out at 225 and came home at 185. And I grew 3 inches. I went from 6'3.5" to 6'6" plus when I got back. So it was a blessing in disguise, but that was my only offer was Pacific. So I got back and went to UVSC, which is now Utah Valley.
Right.
Yeah. We're neighboring BYU, right? It was a 2-year school, and all the guys that didn't want to go to BYU that were good, they'd go there, and it was kind of like a feeder, like a Pierce College for the local university, USC, UCLA. It was like Pierce. And we played BYU in the first game, and they was their alumni team, and Hector LeBron was setting for him, and we beat him. And I was just real physical setter, was hitting on 2 from the back row off a free ball, and just kind of just in their face. And he's like, we need you to come play for BYU. So that's how I got in. I didn't even get recruited by them or anything.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was just luck. I just those 2 years of training paid off. I was like, yes, okay, it paid off. I got strong fast and kind of gave me some time to grow a little bit. So that's like was my introduction into like, okay, I can go play, but I got recruited as a setter, and then I ended up just kind of playing every position because
Yeah. You were a volleyball player.
Yeah, I was like,
you were a
I didn't
volleyball player, which
play
is
at all.
it's hard these days. And you train kids, right? You work through that. Like, what do you think? You grew up playing different sports. Us three grew up playing different sports. It's not as prevalent anymore because people are focusing on one sport at such an early age. How do you train or talk to kids to be well-rounded volleyball players? Not, okay, I'm a middle, but I still need to pass, even though you don't go in the back row anymore. But like, how do you do that at a young age?
Right. You know what? I think the greatest thing that I tell them is kind of what's closest to my heart. I said, go play beach in the summer. First of all, you're going to get to do all the skills. You're never not a part of any play. You're around girls in bikinis. I'm like, dude, go play some co-ed tournaments. There's some motivation there to get good at passing and enhance it. You know what I mean? Like, go play beach volleyball. And what I love is, it's actually funny, Seth Burnham, I think he played UCLA, right? I think he's a UCLA guy. He's the head coach at Thousand Oaks right now. He runs a whole beach season in our off season, the first semester of school. So while the girls are playing, he's playing beach volleyball down in Santa Monica, and he's got 300 kids from all the neighboring high schools. And my boys personally, guys 13, not even in high school, George, who's still the head coach at Newbury, let him play with Cash, and they went off and like won the whole JV thing. And they would have never got all those reps if they wouldn't have had an opportunity to go do that. So for me, that's the quickest way to become a real volleyball player, just like all around, go play beach volleyball.
So I'm going to go ahead and say,
school?
Huh?
Did you play in high school? Beach in high school?
No, I hated it. I played in Santa Barbara, like an A tournament, and guys that did jump just knuckle poking me to death with, and I was like, this is stupid.
So after you came back from Puerto Rico, like what happened? When did you start playing then? I mean, obviously your
Provo,
AVP career was amazing.
He said in Provo, Utah. That's
Provo,
amazing.
Utah.
So before you say that, I want to say one thing. Make sure you hit subscribe. That's the most important thing, and always set the pipe. And for anyone listening, any young juniors, parents that have juniors, boys, girls, young age, you just heard from Casey Patterson, who's an Olympian, who has won numerous beach volleyball tournaments and played professionally indoor and is coaching kids. Take your kids to the sand if you don't live down by the beach. If you live down by the beach, go to the beach. It's 2-on-2. You have to pass. You have to set. You have to serve. You have to move. You have to play defense. He's saying, get out on the beach to help your indoor volleyball
All your
game.
skills.
Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt you guys. Let's get back to that, but I wanted to make sure everyone subscribed and they heard that, because that is very valuable advice for young kids trying to learn how to play this game.
Yeah, Casey,
so many reps.
when I was in Boise, that was an uphill battle for me, right? So I'm coming from Long Beach, and D'Alessandro's like, you need to stay here because I'm from the Fresno area in Madera, California, no beaches. And he's like, you got to stay down here to get well-rounded. And my parents bought in, stayed down there. But when I moved to Boise, it was awful. It was only grass. They didn't believe in sand because they couldn't move. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such a well-rounded thing you can do for indoors, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't really sold until Boise State, added beach volleyball. Then everybody's like, huh. But man, I'm so happy coming from a guy that learned in Provo.
Yeah, so tell us Provo. Tell me about that.
It was a rough deal in Boise for me.
You got a big dog named Jake Spiker Gibb dominating the UOVA scene. It's like CBVA of Utah, right? And you could win $500 a Saturday. And as a college kid, you're like, wait, what? Like, hold on. I'll play with like an older guy, have him get all the cash. He'll backdoor like get me money. So I can.
You're fine now in the NIL. That's
I'm fine.
I'm fine. So you're good. Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this is where there was one place called Carriage Cove, and it was a pool that was still in the BYU kind of like housing area, but you could wear bikinis at the pool. So all the girls teams would go there and everyone would hang out there. I'm like, and there's a court right in front of the pool. I'm like, are you joking? And then there's upper decks to just bounce balls over trees into the third, maybe fourth story. Hey, sorry, can you throw the ball down? And hopefully the girls hurt,
Yeah.
So it was like, this is the place you had to be. And I'm like, well, this is so cool. Why would I not want to be here all day long and really dedicate myself to figure it out? Because this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And, of course, growing up watching on TV, I'm like, yeah, it's cool, but I sucked at it. So I was like, that's not for me. And then, of course, things change when you're in college. You're like, wow, this is incredible. So that's where I learned it at a random apartment complex called Carriage Cove in Provo, Utah.
Wow. And then you just came home. You just came home and said, hey, this is what I want to do. Did you go back home, or did you go to Huntington Beach to just go by the pier? That's where I wanted to be. Like, where was that transition at?
I think I played in like a tournament in Huntington one of those summers. And I was like, I want someone to bury me here under these courts by the pier. This is the greatest place I've ever been. Insane. Because it was like every weekend and every day you go play in those 3-4 courts on the south side, right by the pier. It was like you were finals in the AVP. You're like,
Yeah,
dude, I
it
got
was
people
big, that
cheer
was
me
big
on
time.
video.
Yeah, bouncing it on the pier, all that stuff.
Ultimate
Yeah.
motivation.
Yeah.
Now it's like, if there's no one around, I'm like, what are we even doing, dude? Like, there's nobody here, So that was for sure. The dream was like live in Huntington Beach forever. And, I slowly just won all those events, and I'd pick a new partner each time so that I was the number one guy and there was a point spread between me and anyone else. Jake left. I'm like, I'm going to be that number one guy in Utah because he went to follow the dream. I want to do that too. So, I even played with all his partners, Jumpin' Joe and all these guys. And it was just such a cool culture there. And there's a lot of guys that were a little bit older and experienced, Mike Daniels and Dave Merrill and Brad Collins, all these guys that were like kind of local that just taught me how to play volleyball and embraced me in. And you're like, dude, I got a crew. This is really cool. So without that, I don't know if I would have caught on to it as fast, but it was cool there. So it was definitely like the follow the California dream vibe. So that's where I learned.
It's awesome that volleyball was able to do that for you, but to see the culture of it, which we talk about a lot, be transformed within a small area within Provo, right? So it's not like just a court where everyone's out playing, because you've done that too. I know you have, just as we all have. Like, no one's watching. There's just a court with sand, and you're there to train and to work. But to see that, which makes volleyball to me and like all of us, like just so epic, right? Just so epic. Like, you're out on the beach, there's people everywhere, girls in bikinis, guys looking pretty damn good themselves, and just the fun of it all is just incredible. And like, to be able to manufacture that in a place in Provo, Utah, I can't tell it on this one, but there's a great pod story somewhere down the road with Geeter and myself in Provo on our first trip ever, but we'll leave that for a different one. But yeah, that's great. I mean, it's just so cool to hear again. Like, there's so much to learn on this. I mean, just to hear about how you learned how to play volleyball. I mean, I knew you were at Newbury Park, but to learn how to play beach, you're playing at an apartment complex in Provo, Utah, and you turn that and playing to the Olympics with Jake Gibb. Like, I mean, that's unbelievable.
That's
So
an
random.
incredible
Like,
story.
I remember just shoveling snow off the court because we'd want to get in games before we had to go to indoor practice. We're like, dude, we got to practice today. Like, I didn't even want to go play indoor anymore. I was like, dude, stay longer. I'd show up with sand all over my legs. So it was like, dude, it was such a special little bubble. It was like the South Bay bubble in Provo, Utah.
Did you play for Carl? Was Carl?
I did for 1 year. Yeah, right. For 1 year before Tom Peterson, Grayson DeBose, and Sean Patchell came on board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the reason why I brought that up about if you set or not at BYU is because I think the first day I met you, you were in the Golden West gym, and I don't know if we were coaching club or something, or there was one net up, and we introduced ourselves, and you said you were a setter, right? And you start tossing the ball to yourself, and you were talking about that wall ball club. You were bouncing the ball up, hitting the ceiling, which I'd never seen before, and then you hit one into the crow's nest, into like the coach's box up there. I'm like, who is this guy? He's a setter, and he's tossing the ball to himself and just bouncing balls all over the gym that I've never seen somebody hit so hard in that gym.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. We could call it right now. I feel like I'm back, dude. I'm gonna go back on.
Unbelievable.
I'm coming back, dude. I love that. That was a shoulder that was saved for years because I was hand setting, and then just an angry kind of like Casey Jennings and I have a similar story. Just sat the bench a lot, and we were like, my dad nicknamed me number 23 because I'd always come in for middle and serve at BYU. I was a serving sub for 3 years until I actually played. And so it was just get really good at bouncing because that's the only show you could put on. So I'm like, if I had an iPhone back then, the amount of like viral bounces, oh
man, I was
And the
really,
NIL and the
really
NIL you could
impressed.
get.
I'm like, wow.
I'll just be like, I want to be like the bounce lord or something. Like, that's all I did was hit 2 balls as hard as I could, like, boom, just like, what gym have I not hit ceiling in yet? Like, that.
Well, you were bouncing them in the Golden West ceiling, in the Golden West gym. You were hitting the ceiling and into the crow's nest. I could not believe it.
Can you still hit the ball like that?
Yes, I bounced one up into the ceiling for the boys when we're just doing hitting lines. If the knees are like, when the stars align and the knees feel good and I'm on some ibuprofen, maybe we'll scoop a pre-workout, to get fired up. I can find one once in a while, every blue moon.
Awesome. That's amazing. It's great that you're still involved in it. That's awesome. I can't wait to hear the journey of your kids. How do you like coaching?
I've always done it. It's kind of funny. Like, it's probably why, we met Bear in Golden West. I think I was helping Deli and Derek at Surf City when it was Surf City back then, back when TJ DeFalco was a little 12-year-old that didn't even live in Huntington yet, just coaching him. Ben Patch was a Chris Austin came to a practice. And I was like, these kids are gnarly. And TJ was the same, just couldn't get off the ground with the same arm swing. So I've always been coaching, at Huntington High School, at Mater Dei. Like, I loved it because selfishly it was like, dude, I'm getting so many reps on this ball and like carving the ball and I can manipulate it to the point where I can just do it blindfolded. And I'm like, there's so much value in that. Plus you get that perspective as a coach.
Yes.
It's a
And
different
it's
point of view. for
such a
sure.
different point of view. And you're like, okay, things are starting to like open up and I see things differently now from that. And so I just loved being around it. If I couldn't play it, I was around it. If I wasn't playing in a tournament, I was playing for fun or I was coaching it, And so I loved coaching because it's just like every kid has a different light switch that you got to try to find to turn on. It's not always the same. And so, it goes full circle back to like a Kevin Judd guy, like being like, dude, you got great hands. Like if I could just do that a few times throughout my life, how many kids could I help,
A lot,
down
to
the
answer
journey,
your question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coaching matters. And my father was a high school coach for 43 years. And I'm going to get back to coaching as soon as Braden gets off to college. Michelle and I are going to get back into it because I missed that part of it.
Yeah.
I missed the teaching. I missed the helping. I missed watching someone go from, I don't care if they can't even pass, to learning how to pass, right? Like that's a huge, it's awesome to teach that and to watch them grow and to be excited about it. And to have someone, like you said, like that's struggling through different things or maybe looking to be a basketball player or whatever, to connect with someone and to have that. I mean, John Price, who was my college volleyball coach, was in my wedding. I was in his wedding. I was his only student that was in it or athlete that was in it. Like coaches matter. And like to hear you say that, that's great because, to be able to give back your knowledge is amazing in itself, but just not to give back your knowledge, but to try to help, kids reach their potential. Whether it's volleyball or whatever it is in life, it's great that you're doing that, Case.
And you still get to compete too as a coach. You know what I mean? You get the competitive juices flow a little bit, and you want your team to beat the other team, and you do. And if you know that other coach, you want to beat the other coach. I mean, come on.
It's such a weird world too, because you're like, dude, I just want to beat this kid. He's got a gnarly team of athletes, and this kid doesn't even know what he's doing. I got a bunch of rugrats and 4 dudes who just started playing 2 weeks ago from the basketball team. This is like our JV team. And I'm like, dude, the amount of like progression I've seen and just to hear them, I hear like little stories on the side. Yeah, I've been talking to my mom. Maybe I want to play club. I kind of think I'm done with the basketball. And you're like, what, dude? It's like, that happens to every guy. Like there's that one tipping point where they're like, dude, they really love this. And to have that be a part of like the journey that you're helping them on, it's so fun. It's
That's
so cool.
So cool.
Hey, so when you got to the AVP, right? So going to get, was that your ultimate is, when you started playing, you went to Huntington Beach is like, I want to go to AVP. And we just talked about coaching. Was it just mentors or did you actually have somebody coaching along before you got to the AVP and then while you're a part of the AVP, or was it just you and Jake for the most part? Or, I know you had other partners, but how did, for our audience, like for the AVP players, there's only 2 of you. What did you do? Did you go get a coach? Did you not? Like, give us that story of how it all started.
I didn't have a coach for a long time. It was more like just being around guys that were better than me and trying to get in those squads. It was constantly trying to level up, right? Like, hey, how do I get on this challenge court on Saturdays in Huntington and sign up on the list and get like a good partner and go show everybody? Or Ryan Mariano used to throw this pro-am tournament. So you go grab like somebody and go win with them. And to be honest, those are the things that guys that played with me, for one, Jake, 2, it was like John Moran and then like a Ty Loomis and then a Canyon Seatman, a Brent Doble. Like I got to play Kevin Wong, like all these guys, I kind of like climb my way through, but it was me playing in all those like winning AAA events, going and playing and winning like a pro-am or going and playing 4-man back when the SmackFest had like a 4-man, like just going and proving yourself wherever you could, as much as you could. And being a guy that like, oh, dude, this guy can kind of win, or this guy's a little bit gritty, like I was constantly trying to send the message, like, I'm here, I'm all in. Like this is what I want to do. And I'll do whatever it takes. I'm willing to wait as long as possible. Like, this is what I want to do. And so it was like those type of little events nonstop with guys and getting partners who were like just a little bit better than me. So I knew I could go and get in, not just get into a tournament, but go and like beat some teams and be like a main draw guy, like that was the goal. And so it was like that. And not until, to be honest, until I was with Jake, did we have like a dedicated coach. And then it was the guy that I played with against in college. It was Tyler Hilderman. It was like our homie. So he was such a like savant and so ahead of his time. And we loved the hybrid style that he had of beach indoor that, that was the first time I really had like a dedicated full-time coach. Before that, it was like, oh yeah, Adam Cottrell coming on the beach and hit balls at us, like he'd hit some down balls at us and, give us some pointers here and there, stuff like that here and there with guys. Who else? We had Fenoy came to practices a few times a couple of years ago. It was just kind of like guys that could give time here and there, but not until that 2013 did I really have somebody like full-time. But besides then, it
Interesting.
was just watch film, be obsessed. I never watched TV. It was just watching YouTube videos and watching more videos and watching volleyball nonstop, thinking about it, studying it, whatever. That's all I did.
So another lesson to people listening, especially the youth, if you want to play college volleyball, you want to play high school volleyball, you heard what Casey just said. He's not scrolling through Instagram looking at different people's lives. He's watching something that's going to enrich his, and he wants to be a beach volleyball player. He wants to be someone to make it. So he's watching former players play. He's watching matches overseas. He's watching anything he can to learn from it. So if you want to play volleyball at the next level, watch high school games, watch college games, watch international games, learn from the people that are doing it at the level you want to get to so you can emulate and change what you're doing to try to reach those dreams. So we're always trying to teach and tell stories here on
I love
Set the
it.
Pipe.
I love it, especially when like you lose. I remember losing in qualifiers and losing in events and then just sitting, total poopy pants, angry kid, wishing he could live the dream and be sponsored and do this for a living, and going and watching a guy like Jeff Nygaard and watch him pass on the left side and do his little like shuffle step kick out to the left and have his nasty wrist away. And I hear him talking about passing bad on purpose to get the team rattled so that they felt like it was out of system and then go detonate. Like, oh, dude, I remember watching Doble and watching him do like an inside in lean, but then still bounce inside. I'm like, wait, everybody always goes back to the line. Like all those little things, dude, I could tell you story upon story, which you guys play the same thing where you're just like, I am fully immersed in this and I want to listen and be around and just, I want to absorb as much as possible. Like stuff like that was some of the most memorable things were after a loss and just watching the guys who were gnarly just do it, be like, wow, this is incredible.
You know, as a coach, do you emphasize that? Go home, guys, get on the ESPN Plus, go see the guys play, you know, because on the girls' side, and I've said this before, is we don't do a good enough job to say you need to go watch. Where like one of my kids, she wouldn't go turn it on, but as soon as I turned it on, she was into it.
Yeah.
Right. And we talk about, you know, as we raise boys, you'll sit down and watch football, you'll sit down and watch basketball and baseball and those kind of things. But the girls, we haven't. So, but you know, once they start watching it, man, their volleyball IQ gets higher. You're right. They get to emulate and especially now with the men's game and you've got Nikolov, that's a different setter. That's a whole different guy. And so,
yeah, I thought I was an offensive setter and you watch this guy, you're like, what
He's
is he?
gnarly. Casey
Yeah.
is gnarly.
but it's
gnarly.
changing the game. It should change their game for the youth. Like, look, this is what you can do. This is the new setter. This is how new setters are nowadays. So do you want to be something like them? And you just can't do it on your own, you know? So do you emphasize that at all when you coach to have these guys watch video?
It's kind of funny. I say that after every practice. YouTube the USA Volleyball national team. If you want to watch someone who's entertaining, you got to TJ Falco. Then you got to go watch Matt Anderson and watch how solid and consistent he is. Like middles, go watch David Lee, how gnarly he is, how good his footwork is. What is he looking at? How does he transition his footwork? Like you guys, there's so many layers of this and it's so fun. Like just go YouTube this stuff. And then, you know, the kids are like, dude, they're sending links on the team chat. And I'm like, yes,
Awesome.
dude, we
That's
got
great.
hooked. Like, but yeah, I'm always about that. Same thing with my
Good.
voice. You know, we're driving to a tournament. I'm like, hey, throw on whatever. Like, you got to start watching guys in your position you like, and they'll show up and do something I've never seen them do. Like, Dad, I saw that on the show. I'm like, yes, dude, you saw that in
That's great.
DJ's reverse hammer,
Yeah.
backhand
Yeah.
hammer pipe. Perfect. If it works, cool. That's what works. Let's do it. I love it. Explore.
That's
It's so great. Like he said, everyone, I mean, I have the two kids that play hoops, so it's easy to watch that, and March Madness is going on. But like, it's important to learn what you want to do. Like if you're a basketball player, if you're not watching old clips of Kobe and MJ, like, or LeBron, you're stupid. They're the greatest to ever do it. Right. And it's the same thing with volleyball. Like you said, like the game's changed. There's no doubt, but I would still, if I was a beach player, I'd probably go watch every one of Karch's matches.
sure.
I don't care how, you know, what the time was back then. And then today's games, like you said, like there's so much going on in the men's game. It's so exciting to watch. I've been to a bunch of college matches. I'm going to one this Saturday. Like it's such a different game than when I played. It's even a different game than like 10, 12 years ago.
Seriously.
So fast. And so that's great that you teach and that you do that and that you're a part of it. I have a question for you. So Sully always asks this, but he was probably going to ask, but I'm going to ask it. I got to do it. Bear got to do it. Sully did not. Sorry, Sully. But we both of us got to wear USA on our chests in different.
About as close as I got, it's right here.
Yeah, in different instances. I got to play in a couple World University games, the Pan Am games. Bear and I played with Geeter down in the Pacific Ocean games in Columbia, but we didn't go to the Olympics. You know, we had Holly on here and she explained her experience. Just a kid from Newbury Park, fell in love with the game, gets to go to BYU, falls in love with the beach game at a rec center at an apartment complex. follows the dream down to Huntington, doing everything from A's to pro-ams. You're walking to the Olympic ceremonies. And I remember, I just talk to me. How was it for you? How was it to put that on, the experience?
Yeah, I mean, talk about one of the most emotional, like you kind of foresee that because as a, an athlete and somebody who you just always believe you're going to be there. But then when you're there, it's the most surreal experience you've ever had. And there's like, the emotion is, I feel that a lot more now that I'm a dad and a coach. I'm like crying during like Rocky, and I'm like crying during, dude, the most random things. Like you guys, the video you guys are quoting some story and I started crying. I'm like, dude, I wish I could be on that team right now, just like in the circle at a timeout. Like, dude, I'm crying over thinking about that. So those kind of things, I felt like I didn't take for granted because I appreciate it more than anything in the moment. But even now, it's like so much gnarlier. So that feeling of being in the tunnel before we walk out in the stadium and everyone's chanting USA and it's all dark in that tunnel with all the USA athletes, that was probably the most like, am I floating? Like I felt like I was off the ground. That was the most nostalgic, memorable moment I feel like I've had maybe ever in like a sports career, like with any sporting event that I've done, and for me, it was that moment. I was like, wow, dude, this is really special. It was incredible, I
Yeah,
think
Holly
Jake
says
has
she
told that
blacked
story
out.
too. Yeah. Oh,
Holly's
yeah.
like, don't remember.
Yeah.
It was so out there, it was so up
powerful.
there that I just don't remember.
Yeah.
Can we go back just a little bit? You were playing on the AVP. Were you playing FIVB as well at the same time? When did you think like, hey, I want to play in the, I mean, we all want to play in the Olympics, but when did you finally go, I think I got a shot to do this?
Yeah.
Like, can you tell me that or tell us that transition and how all that worked?
It was like 2009. I won a first AVP with Ty Loomis. It was against Sean Scott and John Hayden. And of course, all the international teams are overseas competing on the FIVB. I want to make sure everyone knows that I know that as well, because that's a big part of your rite of passage is if you win a tournament and all the World Tour guys are somewhere else, you kind of won the cool like hybrid JV tournament. Even though Sean and John were the number one team for the AVP at that point and were beating Phil and Todd all frequently, it was like, okay, I get like, it's funny. I always like to make sure I say that, but it was like that moment. I was like, dude, maybe I can do this because I'm like an undersized blocker. I'm kind of like this weird hybrid guy. But to win an AVP, we had to go through, we had to beat Nygaard. I remember, I think he was playing with Mayer. We had to beat Kevin Wong and Matt Olson. We had to beat like a lot of good teams. And it was like, wow, dude, like we consistently just did this. I might have a shot at this. And then the next week, Rockstar's like, we want to sponsor you for 3 years. I'm like, that's it. I'm doing it. That's it.
Awesome.
This is all I'm focused on now is how do I go play on the World Tour? And at that time, you had to ask permission. You had to go ask USA Volleyball and be like, I had to go sit with Dave Williams when he was running USA Volleyball and they had the office in Hermosa. I'm like, hey, can I be allowed to go play? I really want to go do this because you had to pay your way. I'm like, I'm willing to pay my way. Brad Keenan wants to go and play with me. We'll go play and just try. And that was like my first taste of going and playing international. But I remember it being like a job interview. Like, can I go play? I've won a few tournaments, but that sucks is the AVP goes bankrupt in 2010, so it's gone. So we signed this year with Rockstar. I'm like, dude, I arrived. They're paying me to play volleyball. This is incredible. And I was playing with Kevin Wong, and we were consistently in like semifinals. I'm like, this is like the momentum's going. Like this is getting more real than ever. And it was just like gone. And I'm like, dude, everyone, like guys, like they were way better than me. Aaron Watchvogel, Billy Strickland, like a Romaine, all these guys that were on tour kind of just like stopped playing. And I was like, dude, I'm not done yet. I'm too stubborn. So I go back and play in Puerto Rico, go play on a Japanese beach volleyball tour. They pay for my flights to go play for the FIVB. I'm just like trying to make this work. Luckily, all while just like only having one kid. So I can like still kind of make it work. And I just was like too stubborn to stop. And that's the only reason I even like made it to the Olympics, to be honest. It was like, I just wasn't done. And I just decided, no, I'm not giving up.
Yeah. The grind is so crazy for an athlete, any athlete, but to be a professional athlete and to be an Olympic athlete, like I really don't think the majority of the people truly grasp it. I mean, they show the stories on NBC during the Olympics and, they pick an athlete in different sports and they tell you and people watch and go, wow. But I really, we all know, like, I don't think people grasp what you're doing every day. And like, I see what my kid just does to try to play college basketball. I am to be an Olympic athlete and know you're going to be it is just the work and the years. You don't have anywhere to play. The tour's over and you can hang it up like some of the great ones you just mentioned did. And you said, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to continue to grind. I'm going to pay my own way. I'm going to find a way to do it. And while you're doing that, you're still having to live your life. You have a kid, you have all of this stuff, and you're still training the hours upon hours. So again, I hope volleyball, it just continues to grow where more money is brought into our sport here so we can help athletes like you back when you were younger. Like the USA Volleyball can give more bigger stipends, can help more athletes on the beach, as well as obviously the indoors doing its own thing with both teams. But so you come out of the tunnel, you go through the Olympics, you get to play with Jake, who you kind of looked up to in back in those days, and like you're on cloud nine. Where do you go from there? Like the Olympics are over, you don't finish where you want to finish, but that happens. And is it time that you want to try another Olympic run, or are you just, I'm going to go win as many tournaments as I can?
Yeah, it was kind of like both of those things at the same time, because while like Jake and I were playing, our number one thing was our legacy. You're like, dude, we have to play. We can't go out on the world tour and then not come back for AVPs because it's inconvenient. Like we have to play in everything because we only have a limited window to do this as a profession.
Sure.
And this is something we all kind of agreed upon. And it was kind of like fueled by Tyler, because Rich Lamborn was traveling with us too. Like we're all guys that just kind of like didn't really belong where we were, but we just were too stubborn and gritty. And so it was like, dude, our squad was so good and like supportive. We're like, we're going to go travel. Even if we don't have time, we're going to go make it happen, travel back and forth. So that had stayed with me. Like, we're going to go play every AVP and every FIVB. So once, Jake and I kind of split up at that 2016, right after, I had the same mentality. Hey, I want to go find a guy, which was, basically impossible to replace a guy like Jake and Tyler and Rich in that squad. But it was like, I want to go find somebody as close as possible and do the same thing. I want to go keep going as long as I can jump inside out. Like, I want to do that. And the World Tour is a different animal. Every match is like a final in the AVP. Every year pool play, you're like, bro, we just played like 3 finals and we're barely out of pool. Like it's so gnarly, the amount of talent on the World Tour. I mean, you just see a Cuba win, we call them like Grand Slam, like the big events with all the top teams. Like where are those guys training? They're not even allowed to leave their island unless they're playing an event, and somehow they're winning. So it's like, dude, there's guys everywhere in every country now that have passed us and not only caught up, but gone far past as far as talent. So
and when you say, go ahead, Bear.
Yeah. So after being an Olympian and you play on the AVP or the FIVB, do people have it out for you? Like they come after you as hard as they can. I mean, they're going to do that anyways, but they want a piece of beating an Olympian, or are they intimidated at all? Or how does that work?
No, I think it does like the opposite of intimidation. It almost like fuels every guy that hasn't quite arrived yet. And it really fires them up. Not only did everyone just want to beat me because I was loud and annoying, and if you're on my team, you loved it because you were like, bro, I'm going to war with you. Like, I'll take a bullet. Like, let's go. But if you weren't, you're like, this guy's...
That's why I loved you, Case. That's why I loved you, man. I was very similar. People hated playing against me.
He's
loved
loud,
playing
he's
with me.
dancing.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's
Casey,
like,
do you
have
sing
fun.
at all?
I do. I was in a couple bands in high school.
Oh
and
my God,
and
you
choir.
and Corey need to get together.
Yeah, we haven't sang together yet, but one of these days.
I'm gonna have to do that.
So,
anyway, sorry to interrupt, but yeah.
I have a question to go back to what you said. I don't know, you would know more than this, but you just said the talent is getting further and further from these other countries. Is it the talent, or is it the way they're training and putting the money into that? Because
it's a support system.
Okay, because I got to think we still have talented players here in this country if they were to go through the right rigorous. And we've talked about this for club volleyball. We've talked about this. I've talked about it also on this, but with others for club basketball. Yeah. We as a country play way too much. We play too many games. There's too much club, and there's not a focus on development. So your question, is there a way we can get back to being the dominant? We founded the game of volleyball and beach. Can we get back to being the dominant country in beach volleyball? And if so, how? How do we get there?
Yeah, the good thing is I'm like on the board with this USA Volleyball, just like a voting member of a board, just kind of helping oversee beach volleyball. And Sparaz's on the right path. He's a guy that I feel like everyone should be super excited that is involved, because he's looking for the future of the game and the evolution, where the media needs to be, where the social needs to be, and where the focus is once college is done. The drop off in the amount of players on both girls and guys side, it's like unbelievable, right? So it's like, how do we keep these people in the game? How do we keep them involved and give them chances to play? And so I feel like he's going to be doing a good job. And then my opinion is also, I feel like the AVP was what provided that for us. We had a tour we could go prove ourselves and be winners and get a little edge and get a little bit of swag, and then go play on the World Tour and not be like scared of these monster, everyone's 7 foot, every defender, like guys from Russia, from Netherlands, you got Norway, Sweden, everyone's young and gnarly. The AVP it made the world tour much less scary and more exciting and fun.
Mm.
And so I love the new AVP league format. I'm just really worried about the developmental part of, if I was where I was when I first tried to play, there'd be nowhere for me to go. Do you know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
no traditional Hermosa, Manhattan, Huntington. There's all these events. I've got at least 8 to 10 events where I could go, like just fight my way in, get a partner I could win with, and just go grind and like follow the dream. Now I'm like, unless you're a top guy right now, what's incentivizing me out of college who could probably have a big future to go play World Tour AVP? I don't even know how to get in. What do I do? I got to move to Hermosa and just be like available all the time. Well, that's not a good format for all these boys, and even like the girls. I feel like college, they're good. It sets them up. They have like the speed ramp to success because they've got all that experience.
Yeah, it's such a great thing that they brought
awesome.
beach volleyball. Yeah, it's amazing. And so like
So
you're playing
cool.
for Dane for 4 years, or Stein, or anyone, you know, you're playing for Todd up at Slow. Like you're going to be ready to play after those 4 years.
You're
right?
already, you're winning events like a cloth nuts. They're just like, we're here, you know, like Sarah and Kelly, it was like, we're here. You're like, they're still in college. What is happening? But for guys, like following that like AVP dream of getting to be pulled out while Geeter's doing like a third set, you know, under pressure, you're like, bro, it's almost impossible to have those scenarios happen anymore. And that's what's sad for me. It's like, dude, where are these guys? What do you do if you're like our kids who are out of college and want to play beach as a career? Like,
well, hopefully John, you know, and I talked to him and we're going to have him on here because I know John, like we played against each other. He went to school with Mooney, and for a lot of reasons he's got stories, but I think he's the perfect guy for the job to run USA Volleyball. He loves this sport. He loves this country. He loves everything about volleyball, and so have many others, but he's very smart. He's very tactical. He understands a lot. I think that hopefully, well, I'll ask him when he's on here, but you know, you're on the board, that they can come up with something that gives boys and men more opportunities. It's never going to be a collegiate sport. Men's beach volleyball is, and it's just not, unless they take football out of the equation, which they're not going to, which we talked about yesterday. So that's not happening. So hopefully, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a junior league. I mean, they used to have like the AVP Next, those kind of things, but you got to somehow subsidize it for kids that are out of college. They just can't go play on a tour and pay for everything and win a cooler and a backpack, which is fun, but there's got to be some way to develop. And if they don't, we don't do that, we're going to fall further and further behind, because like you said, I mean, I've seen it myself. Like you look at those 20-year-old kids out there, just unbelievable on these tours. And it's because they're playing at such a young age, they're training at such a young age, they're focused at such a young age, and they're developing right at a young age.
Yeah, they're going to volleyball school for high school. They're not going to high school and then playing volleyball. They're going to they're training like we were on the national team at 16. You're like, what? Yeah. And even before then, you got Norwegians won the gold 2 Olympics ago. The Swedes just won it just now. It's like Scandinavian countries, and they're under 25, both teams at that time when they won. You're like, I didn't start playing until I was like mid-30s on tour, like to really trying. It's crazy.
It's you know, just like we've been saying on this, volleyball's grown immensely all over the world, and especially here in this country. Like women's collegiate volleyball's on TV, like during Saturday football games. You know, you turn into I'm watching Furbringer play, and it's like it's incredible. The women's indoor, both pro leagues are killing it with attendance. You know, both of them are been amazing. The level's fantastic. I'm watching a lot of them. Collegiate games just last week, UCI played Long Beach, both games at both facilities. The Pyramid and Bren sold out, both of them. Yeah. You know, it's just volleyball is so incredible right now, and we need you, John, and others to find ways to create. I mean, listen, if some person can say Haktua and make millions, we've got to think
seriously.
Good for her. I mean, listen, great for her. Yeah. But if someone, I'm being honest, if someone can do that and parlay that into millions, there's no reason why with smart business people that we can't parlay some form of social media and something into millions that could create that for the development of volleyball. There's too many millionaires on YouTube and all over that can't spell their names. And again, all power to them. I didn't like school either. If I would have had that, I'd probably be a millionaire back in those days. Sure. But it's possible, right? It wasn't possible 25 years ago. It is possible to create and to make money. And so a guy like John understands that, right? Like you said, the socials and different things. So I'm excited to see how that. So one other thing I'd like to ask you, it's probably at least for you, I'm sure you didn't want to tell everyone it's your most memorable moment playing for Team Fletch. Playing at the 6-man, playing for Fletch, playing for others as well. Like, tell our audience a little bit about the 6-man.
Yeah.
Geeter and I talked about it briefly for a second yesterday. But what's your, you and I got to embrace numerous times on there, but the 6-man, what do you think about it?
The first time I ever went, I think it was like 2005 or 6 when it was still massive and you couldn't even get to your court. There was just people. So you'd play a ball that was out of bounds, you'd run into a wall of people. You'd be late to your court. You couldn't even get there. You're like, excuse me. And it's like, I remember walking out on the pier and be like, what have I been missing this? What? This is Disneyland, Magic Mountain, heaven, everything all combined into one. Like, I want to live here forever, every day. This is incredible. I mean, how special that is. And then what's even more special is how each team has their own like legacy and culture and they bring their vibe, but everybody's like stoked on it and it just levels up and adds to the magic and energy of that event. It's incredible. And, of course, winning with Fletch, especially on like an iconic anniversary year, right? It was like, what, 25th year or something? Or what year was, it was incredible. And that was my first time getting to play with you guys. And I remember just like, dude, I'm just standing around like guys that were, and probably still like so much better than me. And somehow I'm getting to play and start. Like, I was more in awe than like fired up to just play. It was like, dude, Geeter in timeouts, it was insane. The things that he's quoting, you're just like, I didn't even know life could be like this. I didn't even know something could be this amazing. I had no idea. You know what I mean? And so for me, the 6-man is one of the most special things ever. And bringing my kids to it, my boys are like, Dad, there's like a youth version. We got to play. I'm like, you should play, dude. This is rad.
The junior 6-man. And the thing I've always told people about it is like, listen, it's a party. And back in those days, it was a real party. Like you couldn't even get on the beach. They've calmed it down for the right reasons, but it's still pretty amazing, right? And the thing that I love about it, it really is. I haven't seen it in every other sport, but like in a weekend, it's the past, it's the present, and it's the future. There's high school kids that are just playing that get smashed by current Olympian and professionals that are also getting smashed by former Olympians, former collegiate players. And like, it is a vast array of athletes from the volleyball side. And you're just like, if you love volleyball and you're just there, like you said, you're walking there and you're just like, this is unbelievable. Like, oh my God, like, there's Casey Patterson. There's Jake Gibb. There's, then you go down there. Oh, there's a kid who's a sophomore in high school. Oh, his dad was great. He's going to be good. 10 years later, he's winning the 6-man. And, there's legends. There's Stokey. There's Sinchan. There's just all these people that have played in it. And it's such a cool event for that. For me, it's just like I took my kids growing up and, Jake's in Laker gear, pictures. And we have Pete Carroll coming in, talking, giving us stories during the timeouts and stuff. And like, it's just awesome because, again, we said this earlier when we were playing for Paul Mitchell and you've been around Geeter enough and a few others in Hildebrand. Volleyball and tactical stuff will always matter. And there's no doubt, like when you're in a game in an important situation and you got to call who you're going to guard or what you're going to set. But at the same time, there's something magical about just something in a spiritual way and calming you down. The way we would do it, like you said, Geeter would come in and just give us a quote from a movie. He'd sit around, we'd all sit around, and he would do the Coming to America, the cutting scene of the hair. I mean, this is why we're playing to win matches, and like it's a big deal to win that tournament. And it's great volleyball. It's not like, oh, you want to beat. I mean, this is like, it's the best. I mean, if you're not playing in an AVP or an FIVB, and there's folks that have flown home many a times after losing on an AVP to get there to play in the last match on Saturday so they can play on Sunday.
One serve. Yeah. You just got to pop a serve in and you're good to go Sunday.
That's it. You just got to get in there. And so like people fly from all over. If you're not playing in a national team event, if you're not on an AVP, you're playing in this event. Like everyone's playing, and it's 6-on-6 and it's just incredible volleyball.
Yeah.
It really
I was
is.
gonna say, so Cole, CK and Casey, talk to people like, I mean, they're not from the area. So Midwest, back East, that have really no idea what you guys are talking about. Where is it located? how many courts are going on? You guys have described the audience, but what time of year is it? So shoot, some people may want to be a part of this that's across the country. So talk to people like they're nowhere near Manhattan, right? So
Yeah, it's Manhattan Beach Pier is where it's at, the like epicenter of beach volleyball, where you can walk down the pier and it's like, the power lane of like gods and goddesses of the sport who just devoted their lives. And you see Karch on it 150 times, and you see Sinjit on 150 times. It's just ref. I was just at a Newbury Park game. The ref has her. She showed me a picture of her plaque, and I was like, I mean, it's incredible. It's just a row of legends, and that's where the sport is the most special. So you add that with the indoor scene, with the like almost reunion style of volleyball. So that, and with 6-man, at any age and level that you're at, you can go play and participate, which makes it so rad.
It's usually
insane.
the first weekend, last weekend of July, first weekend of August. They've changed it these years because of what Casey had mentioned when he first went. It started out, it's the Ron Cycli Invitational Tournament. It's something done at Manhattan Beach every year, the Surf Festival. They've limited where you have to either qualify or get a ticket to get into the tournament. There's still 30, 40, 50, 60 teams, both men and
Quality
women.
is still there.
Yeah,
The riffraff kind of got filtered out.
Yeah, it turned into like trying to become a festival, right? Like all of a sudden it was a volleyball tournament that started to be a party that was really fun. Everyone dresses up too, by the way. I shouldn't say everyone,
All themed,
but
yeah.
a lot of teams have themes. One of my favorite themes, and they still stands true, are the ex-LMU players. They come as the wrestlers. Guys are dressed in Hulk Hogan. I mean, it's
My favorite team.
and they bring a ring, a real ring, like an actual ring, from the posts around the backcourt. So they have an entire wrestling ring on their half of the court, and when you switch sides, they take it and it's back on their side. They're dressed all as wrestlers. Like it's unbelievable, and they're really good volleyball players. They a couple All-Americans at LMU, and they're still playing now. They're playing in the 40s, but back 20 years ago they were in the Open as well. And it's just a great event, and it's a great celebration of volleyball. The party's pretty fun too, but like I mentioned, it's not just a party. There's so many folks playing from past, present, and future that just crush it. It's such a great event.
So Team Fletch, what do you guys wear?
Team Fletch. I mean, if you ever watched the movie, it's, I'm 6'5", 6'9" with the afro, huge Laker fan, Chevy was. So that's what we would wear, Laker uniforms with afros, and when we'd play in those. It was really fun to play in those when it was 95 out. And
just dripping.
Yeah, sand's burning your feet, but you still do it.
And it looks sick in content. It's incredible.
It sure does.
Furby
I've got
just siding out from the right and the left. Oh.
Scotty Locke was amazing. And I've got some great photos on my wall and from that weekend. And again, it goes back to us telling stories, and Casey has millions of them. And that's why, Casey, we're going to have you on again here.
Yeah, for sure.
Like just one weekend of one 6-man. We could probably sit on here for hours and tell story after story of just one game to one play. And it's like us with nationals. And I'm bummed you never got to go to that, Case, because that was a real.
I've been one time with Team Paul Mitchell. Tyler.
You're an alum.
But you went after us. It was right after when Tyler ran the team. Yes, it was right after. Okay, so you are part of this.
One time.
I stand corrected. I'm sorry. You are a Paul Mitchell alum. It's beautiful.
I'm so glad. Oh, man, yes. Okay, good. I was worried. Put that on the resume next time.
It is that should be on the resume. Absolutely. If not, I mean, the Olympics are probably 3 after Fletch and Paul Mitchell. But yeah, so it's, you just go to your nationals at Salt Lake City. I mean, you could just tell so many stories just from the 4 nights.
So fun.
Like, each night has a story. So just been incredible.
Tyler draining his knee in like the semis, just going to the PT and then just pulling out dude, I don't even know how much fluid he pulled out, and he's like, we got to play. I'm like, dude, you're amazing. You're just like a god walking on earth, just a demi. Yeah.
He had a year where he was getting IVs too, like his first year. I think with New Orleans or something. We talked about that a little bit. And
yeah, he was
all in.
He was dying, and he was able to play in the semi and finish, and we won, and we were in the losers side, so we had to play in the losers final and then go back. And so Ty Tremblay actually was our other setter, so he had got us through. We win the loser final. Hildebrand's getting an IV, shivering, like, I gotta play. Yeah. He's with Bear warming up on the side to just to try to make it, and comes in and plays, and we win the double final, win the gold medal. It's incredible.
So those are the stories, dude. Just the warriors. And they're playing a little Finiente every night in the hotel. You know what I mean? Come on, dude.
Yes,
incredible.
Finiente.
Credit card roulette.
A little credit card roulette. Yes. So Listen, we'd love to have you back. I mean, we just touched upon just a little bit. We've been going for, over an hour here, and I can't thank you enough for, taking the time. One other thing I want to bring up real quick before we go is we talk about this, and Casey, you've always been just a great human being to me. And I'm traveling with my wife. We're in the airport. This was a few years ago. I hadn't seen Casey or talked to Casey in probably a couple of years, or, at least maybe on social media or something or whatever. Bear's here in the dark.
Sorry, my lights went off. I'll be right back.
It's okay. It's outstanding. And you're there, and it was like we'd seen, it's like we just, nothing had changed, and you hugged me and you embraced me, and you were just so awesome to talk to. Michelle and I, you're just such a great person and a great human being, and you've always been a great friend to me. And thanks for coming on, and just thanks for being that. I can hear it in your spirit, how you're talking. The kids are lucky to have you at Newbury Park. They really are.
For sure. Yeah, no kidding.
I appreciate it. You guys, it's more of an honor for me to be on this and to listen to your guys' stories and be around your guys' legacy. I mean, you guys have been doing it forever, so I'm just grateful to be here.
That's awesome. Like Coley said, we get your story, but then we know there's stories within those stories.
Yeah,
and I just think we're scratching the surface right now, Casey.
Yeah.
But this is what Set the Pipe's all about. And I'm going to echo what Coley said. We really appreciate you being on here. I know my daughter, if she could have talked on here, I'm sure she would have said the same thing. So, but it was a pleasure. We'd love to have you back. Good luck the rest of the way. And thanks for coming on Set the Pipe, buddy.
Love it. Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Casey.